welcome to another Dynamics CRM training session. I'm your host, Angelina Jacobs. I'm a senior consultant here at CRM Dynamics, and we're located in the Greater Toronto area, so specifically the lovely city of Mississauga. So feel free to take down my contact information if you have any additional questions or comments after the webinar. I'll be glad to help, and I can either point you in the right direction or just give some quick guidance if need be. I also have a few other consultants on the line with me, Rick as well as Shona, who is another CRM consultant, so she'll be helping answer any questions that you guys type into the question box throughout the webinar. We will also have a Q&A session, though, at the end of this as well. So today's webinar will focus on leads and opportunities. This really will just be a simple overview of these entities in Dynamics CRM. Now, if there's any terminology or areas of the CRM that I mention that you're not quite familiar with, I do suggest taking a look at our YouTube channel and the Back to Basics video, and it covers a lot of the fundamentals of CRM, so it's a great intro for those who aren't quite familiar with the terminology and the references that I'll be talking about today. I'll paste the link in the chat box for everyone, so if you want to copy that, but you can also view it not only through searching CRM Dynamics on YouTube, but also on our website, and it's in the Learning Academy section. And our website is just crmdynamics.com. And again, that's in the Learning Academy section. That's where you'll find a lot of the past webinars that we've done. So you can always revert back if you ever need a refresher and want to watch them again. So without further ado, I will be jumping into our CRM here. And you'll notice I'm just on one of our sales dashboards. So to begin, we're going to be going into the lead section of sales in our CRM. So at the top, I'm going into sales and I'm going into leads. Now, some of the areas in the CRM or some of the menus, as you saw in this example here, they might differ from what's set up in your CRM. And that's just because we have custom entities. Your company might have some other ones. So just focus on the areas that I'm going into, and don't worry about anything that might look different from what you see in your system. Also, different security roles will allow different access to areas in the CRM. So again, it might not be exactly the same as your system, but we're really just going through the concepts today and how you create leads, how you convert them, as well as with opportunities, how you close them and reopen. So to start, there are a couple ways that your leads might come in. One, you can always create them manually within the system here, so going new, which we will do together. Also, some people might import an Excel sheet. So for example, let's say when people go to trade shows, afterwards they're handed or sent an Excel sheet of everyone who attended the trade show, and then they can upload that Excel sheet into the system, into the leads entity. Also, companies might have some integration with some of their online resources. So for example, if you have live chat on your website, another tool that we use as well as suggest others use is Click Dimensions. And these are leads that could come in from other websites, online resources, and get sent right into your CRM and create leads that way. So there's a few ways to have leads created. For this example, we're actually going to create one brand new in the system ourselves. So as with creating any record, I'm just going into the top left here to create new. The forms you see, they most likely will differ from what's set up in your system. Same with this process bar up here. And this is what we refer to as a business process flow. And it's the stages that guide users through their process of lead to opportunity and so forth. Now, when you're creating a lead, you do need a topic. And this is really just your quick reference point for what this lead is about. So in this example, let's say that I work for a print company and I've gone to a trade show. So I met a few people, maybe I got their business card, or I just jotted down some of their information, or I got a list and there was just a couple that I wanted to add into my lead entity here. So I'm at a print show and I've talked to someone and they have an interest in my product. So I could just say in this topic, interested in product. And then maybe they just ask for more information. So it's just a quick description of your lead here. The name is the actual name of the person that you've spoken to or who this lead is about. So let's say I spoke to Lisa, first name, and Daniels with their last name. Done. You can put in additional details, like if you know her job title, her business phone number, mobile phone, email maybe I have, so LD Daniels, and she works for Colorful World, so that's her email. And then you'll see here, I also have the option to put in company information. So again, I know she works for A Colorful World. She's in the print business. If you have their website or even their physical address, you can put that here as well. And the reason you want to put as much information here as you've initially gathered is your lead is kind of your starting point for your data. You'll notice here that in this name field, it's just black text. So if you're familiar with CRM, sometimes you'll be able to link to existing contact records and then they show up as blue links. Your lead is great because it's your gateway to keeping your data clean. So what this means is until I qualify this lead, I haven't yet created a contact record, so Lisa Daniels, or an account or company record for Colorful World yet. More so because let's say she has no interest, I just got her name from a trade show list, she doesn't want to know anything about our service or product, I would just disqualify and then I'm not putting garbage data into my database or my CRM. So this is your starting point in terms of keeping your data clean. And then that way you don't just have a mass list of contacts and really they don't mean anything to you because they just happen to be at a show but not for your specific product or service. So just remember your leads, they remain separate from your system in a sense, and it's not until you qualify them that it starts creating additional records like the contact as well as the company or account. Okay? So I've gathered some information from her. I've got her email. You'll notice here in our process bar, I have a couple options I can fill in, but there's one in particular that has a red asterisk beside it. This is mandatory to fill in order to move to the next stage. And it's pretty simple, whether I've contacted them or not. So I can't move or qualify this lead until I have obviously contacted this person. So I can say, yeah, I contacted them. And then I'm going to save this. So I've created the lead record. I've added the information that I initially received. And I've contacted her, so I know, okay, she does have some interest in here. You have the option below here. Again, this is only if it's set up in your system. Natively, these usually are here in your CRM, so it depends on what your company likes to track. But you can put additional details. So you can put a description, some more company information like the industry, maybe their annual revenue, number of employees, and then marketing information. So this is where the tracking your sources comes into play. So in this example, I know that I received this lead from a trade show. Now, if my marketing department or whatever department is in charge of creating these campaigns to track that, if they haven't already created the campaign record for you, you can create one. But let's say I know this is from the print show, and you'll see here there is a campaign. So this was the print show I went to last month, September 2016. So I can now link this lead to this source campaign, and then that way I can track how many leads have come in from this print show in September 2016. So the more information you can gather and put into this lead record, the better it is, not only for yourself to track, but also for other areas of your business. So marketing can track, management has a good idea of how well campaigns are doing, and so forth. So let's say I have talked to Lisa. She has an interest. She wants to know more, maybe get some pricing. So at this point, I can say for sure there's some potential for sale. So I would qualify this lead. So in leads, in the top ribbon, you have qualify and disqualify as options. Qualify, it moves it into a qualified state and then pulls it into the opportunity for you to further work on. Disqualify obviously gives it a disqualified state, and then it's an inactive one. So in this case, I know she's interested. I'm going to qualify this lead. Now, you'll notice that my process bar has changed stages automatically. So I've gone from the qualify stage to develop. You can also notice I've now moved into another area of my CRM. So at the top where I was in sales and leads, you'll notice I'm now in opportunities. So when you qualify a lead, it creates an opportunity for you. Another thing to notice is it's now created that account for me. So because I typed in some company information, when I qualified the lead, it created that account for me now, and it links the lead and opportunities to this company account. Same goes for the contact. Lisa Daniels is now a contact record in my CRM, and she'll be linked to the initial lead and this opportunity. The form has changed as well. So you'll see here this white space. This form is now my opportunity form. So if I click on the qualify again to go back to my lead, notice at the top I'm in leads and I've got the lead form, but then in my opportunity I've got a separate form. So you can continue to capture additional data. You can format this form differently depending on the additional steps you have now that this is a potential sale. Here's where you'll most likely want to put in revenue data, and this is great for sales forecasting. So once you go a little further in discussion with Lisa and A Colorful World, looking at what services or products they're looking into, you can start putting in some estimated revenue. And this is great not only for yourself to track incoming sales, but also for management to see what's in the pipeline. So let's just say, maybe it's not a big deal, but I've got $2,000 estimated revenue. I've got a probability here. I've talked to her. I could put 75. Now you can always update these, and you'll notice in our system here we have a weighted revenue. And all that is doing is it's calculating based on the estimated revenue and the probability of winning. As you work this opportunity, you can continue to update this probability accordingly. Again, as I mentioned, these forms might be different. You might have additional fields on your opportunity. It all depends on your business, the industry, and what you need to capture in this stage. There are additional fields in our process bar you can fill in. So let's say they want people to capture the customer need, and you can just say, their need is they don't have this. So let's just say that's a simple need. They don't have the product, but they need it. You'll notice here, I just clicked on Identify Stakeholders. This can just be a reminder to your sales reps to say, hey, you need to identify the other stakeholders in this opportunity. And you'll notice when I did click it, it marked completed. And from here, you can continue to move through the stages. And this process bar up here is great for guiding your sales reps through what you want them to do when they're working with potential sales. So you can have different stage names, obviously, so it doesn't have to be develop, propose, close, but these are the native out-of-the-box ones. And then when they want to move on, they just go next stage. And you'll notice the flag has changed, and it's now in the propose stage. And you'll see the fields in our bar have changed. So again, it's a great way to guide your sales reps, but also make sure that they're capturing the right data that you want them to. I've continued, and I know this is 100% probability of win. I'm just waiting on, a signed proposal from the customer to go ahead, or I'm waiting, for them to pay the invoice, and then we're good to go. So from here, whether you've won or lost your opportunity, you have the option to close it out. Similar to your lead entity, you'll notice in the top ribbon we have close as won and close as lost. So in this case, I have a probability of 100. She's come back, said, here we go, we're good to go, I've paid. You can now close this as won. What happens is a close opportunity box pops up. You'll see here the status reason in this case is 1. You can put in the actual revenue if it's changed from the original estimate. So let's say she actually went with a bit more and we put 3,000 in. You can change the close date, and this is beneficial for sales reps that maybe don't get to it the day of and they realize, oh, this was actually from yesterday. So they can put in accurate data. They also have the option to put in any additional notes in here, and then they just click OK. And you'll notice now that the opportunity now has a 1 bar at the bottom here. When you've closed your opportunity as 1, you'll notice it becomes read-only as well. So I can't change anything on here anymore. If I click on stuff, it's not going to give me the option to. Let's say you close it by accident, or you had to add some additional information to this exact opportunity. You can reopen the opportunity. Again, this top ribbon here, reopen opportunity. And then it allows you to fill in additional data. Okay? So I'm going to close this one as 1 again. And just go through the same steps. Now, when you close an opportunity as 1, that box that popped up, it actually captures what is called a close opportunity activity record. And that's just another form for the system to be able to capture the activity that the user is doing. So not only can I see that I have an opportunity with a status of 1, there's also an activity associated to my user saying this opportunity was closed with this actual revenue on this date. So it's just an additional step the system does, especially for reporting and better visibility on users' activities. So that's a very simple overview of the lead to opportunity. And that was starting with creating one manually. Now let's say you have an existing customer and they're looking for additional products, or they're looking for an upgrade in service or so forth. You don't have to go through that whole lead to opportunity stage again. What you can do is start from the actual account and create an opportunity. So for example, I'm going to go into my sales. I'm going to go into my companies. This might be labeled account, clients, depending on how you have yours set up. They can have different labels. And I know I already have a customer that I met with here, copy printing. So they're an existing customer. I'm now on my account screen. And again, this might differ from your own setup. But like I said, they have an interest, let's say, in upgrading their service. You'll see here I have an opportunities grid on my form. So instead of starting in the lead entity with a current customer, you should just be creating an opportunity associated with them. And I can do that from here by clicking the plus button. And you'll see in this case, I have a quick create form drop-down. This is something you can enable in the system, and they're just simple forms that in the case of what I did where I clicked the plus button, it'll drop down just a few fields that you want to make sure are filled out, and then you can go back to them later. So in this case, they're looking for upgrade and service. I know I have a contact. Here, maybe I don't know their budget amount or revenue yet, but I'm just going to go save. I now have this opportunity linked to this account already. So if I ever want to go into it and add additional information, I can just click this and it brings me into that opportunity form again. And you'll notice it already filled in some of the information, obviously the topic, the account, since I was already in that account when I created it, and then the contact that I added in. But you'll see here, I'm now in a qualify stage for the opportunity. Reason being, I didn't have to start in the lead because I already knew they were an existing customer and already had an interest, so I already have a potential for sale here. Okay. So from here, again, you would work through the same process that's set in your company. Fill in the necessary fields. So let's say I do talk to Vicki Jacobson. I know she's for sure interested. She just has to get confirmation from her manager. So let's say I put this 90%. And then I know we talked about an upgrade in service, which will equal a revenue of $5,000. Again, weighted revenue is just a calculated field based on the probability. And this is just great for your tracking and sales forecasting. Okay. And I'm just going to save it. And I've now saved it. So this is great for sales reps when they need to work through multiple opportunities, because if I go into my actual opportunities entity here, you'll notice my view, which is your list here, my open opportunities. I have quite a few here I need to work on. Some you'll see here don't have an estimated revenue, and I need to fill that in. Some have a different rating. There's some warm, hot. And then obviously here, this topic is just what they are dealing with. This is the data, though, that helps with your sales forecasting. So when I first launched my CRM, I was in a dashboard, and this was an out-of-the-box dashboard. So it comes native to the system, but again, your admins can configure personal ones for you and system-wide ones. But you'll see here in the sales activity dashboard, I have already a sales pipeline chart for all the open opportunities. So that's why it's very important for your sales reps to put in correct data as much as they can gather for their leads as well as their opportunities. So I can see here, if I had an overview of, okay, we've got this amount in all the different stages of my opportunities. And from here, they can actually expand the charts by clicking the grid up here. What this does is it allows you, it allows you to go a bit further into the data that makes up that chart. So if you see here, these are all the open opportunities right now that are making up this chart. I'm going to change this view back to just my open opportunities. And you'll see here I've got a bit different chart. And then if I wanted to drill down, okay, let's see how many opportunities are only in that qualify stage. Okay, I need to work on these, in terms of getting them to the next stage, or look and say, okay, why haven't we done anything or moved on with these opportunities? Same with the proposed stage. Okay, I've got one here. We're very close. What's holding this up for me to close it out? I can then always open these up right from there and work on them again. So there's multiple areas for your sales reps to not only have a great visual of what they're working on, but to drill down as well as open them in this case to continue working on them. I'm just going to take one quick second just to make sure all the questions that are coming in have been answered as they pertain to the closing as won as well as closing as lost. Okay. So it does look like you guys are getting your answers, so that's good. But continue asking questions, and then like I said, if you need to, you can always send us an email and we can provide further assistance. So I'm going to close out of this opportunity now. Go back to my dashboard. I'm going to scroll down here to this leads chart. And you'll see here there's different options. This is some of our demo data, just to make this up, where there's different leads by source as well. So you can see, we have some that are advertisements, trade shows, web, and then there's some blank ones because maybe they didn't fill it in or they didn't know where it came from exactly. And that all has to do with tracking your lead against the source campaign, as well as if you have additional field, as some people have asked, you can have multiple fields in there to track against different types of sources, events, trade shows, so forth. And again, I can always drill down into my data by expanding this chart, changing the view I have access to. Again, different security roles will have different access. But I'm going to look at my open leads and I can see some of them here. Now, any open lead, again, this means I have not qualified or disqualified it. So if you have leads that are sitting in this list for a while, you really want to make sure that your sales reps are acting on them. So whether it's, okay, have you just not been able to reach this person, or maybe they just don't have any interest and you just kind of have to move on, disqualify, and get to the next lead. So I'm going to take a minute. If you guys have any questions, please type them into the questions box. I know this was a very quick overview, mainly because you can get into a lot more customization, configuration on leads and opportunities, all based on how your company works, your sales process, as well as the industry you're in. I did not touch on the sales or the business process flow. That's a whole separate area of the CRM. But if you want, please check out our Learning Academy or our YouTube channel, and we actually discuss how you can configure these business process flows here. Okay? I'm just going to mute myself for a minute, and if you have any new questions, please type them in and we'll answer them as best as we can.